With the Crown and Anchor saturation due to post-COVID double point bookings, do you foresee the restructuring of Crown and Anchor tiers? No, I don't. Now again, Christopher, I'm like the world's worst predictor. I don't think Royal Caribbean is going to add any tiers. I don't think they're going to redo the tiers. I think what they're going to do, and they've demonstrated this thus far, is they're just simply going to take it on a case-by-case, selling-by-selling basis, and possibly renege on some of the benefits on a specific sailing if they're unable to do so because there are too many people on there. Classic example, the Diamond Lounge or the Crown Lounge now. They'll just limit it if it's too crowded. That is the path of least resistance with the least overall global impact on customers. Because if you tell people, well, we're not going to let diamond people into the Diamond Lounge ever again, that would be met with a lot of negativity, a lot of backlash. But if they say, well, we'll allow them in there, but unless there's too many, then we have to limit it, then it's just a roll of the dice in terms of which sailing you pick. I think that's the direction they're going in. Now, you may say, well, that's not a great solution. There isn't a great solution. If they restructure, they're gonna annoy people. People are gonna be upset because when they restructure benefits, that means benefits are going to go away or be changed in a way that they weren't expecting. And that's a no-win situation. If you add a new tier, number one, Royal Caribbean already has the most tiers of any cruise line loyalty program. Number two, when you add another tier, you're just moving the goalposts. And you're basically, number one, you're annoying the people who got behind the goalpost. Number two, you're just setting yourself up for this situation to rear its head again in the future when people get up to that point. So I really don't think they're going to restructure. What would you say is the best and worst ship sailing from Port Canaveral? Best and worst is very subjective, Jeffrey. If we sat, so let's use this as an example. Mariner of the Seas and Wonder of the Seas are right now in Port Canaveral. Now, Jeffrey, there are going to be some people who would tell you Wonder or Mariner, whichever one, they hate or they love, right? We're not going to get a consensus that everybody loves or hates a particular ship. So there isn't an answer to your question. I like both ships. I like them for different reasons. And I think what you're kind of asking is more like, oh, is there a ship to avoid there? Or I would say you sail on both for different reasons: itineraries, costs, amenities on board. So yeah, would it be horribly tight to save money and have 4 people, 2 kids and 2 adults in an inside room? There are lots of people who do this. My good friends, the Banvilles, do this, and I can't believe it. They still do this. One of their kids is a teenager, is like 17. They still make it work. Is it horribly tight? No. I think the biggest issue is not how cramped it is because you don't spend that much time in the cabin. I think the problem is you got 1 bathroom. That's probably the biggest problem. 1 shower, 1 toilet. It can get dicey with that. Other than that, and the lack of privacy, you can make a really good argument to save money and go that route. You will not be the first to do it. You're not the last to do it. There are plenty of people who do this all the time. If you have young kids, like if your kids are under the age of 7 or 8, I think this is totally fine because they're at a much different age and need bracket as opposed to teenagers. Totally different ballgame out there. So there are people. Would I do that? No. Or more to the point, I won't do that unless we have 2 bathrooms in like a family room. But it won't be horrible. You just have to, you got to understand you're sharing a space and the bathroom and whatnot. But if you're cool with that and you get younger kids, it's really not a bad idea. Am I going to be sad going from an Oasis class to a Voyager class? Sad? No. I mean, we get this question a lot about, I've done Oasis class. Am I going to be disappointed, sad, upset, deranged if I go on a smaller ship? And the answer is no, as long as you understand what the differences are. Like, when you book Voyager class ships, I mean, you understand there's differences there. As long as you're okay with that, you have a great cruise. And if you're not okay with it, then cancel and go back on another Oasis class. But I love the Voyager class. It is still a big ship, has a big ship feel, plenty going on, not as much as the Oasis class, but you don't necessarily need to have all those things to have a good cruise. So no, will you be sad? No. Will you be maybe missing certain features or amenities? Absolutely. That's pretty normal. But depending on the ship you pick, you might find some really compelling alternatives. So I would say sad, probably not. Will you talk about Celebrity Apex today or Strictly Royal Caribbean? No, if you'd like me to talk about Apex, I absolutely can. I just actually recorded a new video for Celebrity Apex to come out probably in a little bit. But I had a great time. I was on Celebrity Apex last week, as you all know, because you saw the live video we did over here, and it was great. It was a really nice cruise. I missed going back to that. Will you be sad about Voyager? I missed certain amenities about Royal Caribbean. Like I had a great time. This is great. I was impressed by the plushness, the luxury feel that Celebrity has. It's not quite luxury. I don't want to make it seem like it's Silver Sea, but it definitely felt elevated compared to Royal Caribbean, and I love that. And the ship size was fantastic, and the main dining room experience was wonderful. But I missed the variety of things to do on Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean's internet is way faster and cheaper. I missed that aspect of it. So, like anything in life, I think you tend to, nothing's quite going to be necessarily a home run. I'm not like becoming like the world's biggest celebrity super fan, but I can appreciate what it was, and I really had a nice time there. I think that it surprised me more some of the things that I wasn't expecting, like the internet, the included internet, the included drink package being really lackluster. I was surprised by how much I would really miss the variety of activities. I was also impressed by the fact that the casino was non-smoking, so you get a little, there's always pluses and minuses to everything. But yeah, how challenging is it to get around an international protocol without cellular data or Wi-Fi? Good question. Um, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do. I would say, you know, if your plan is to walk around the port and walk around the city, and you're not doing a tour, you're just like, hey, we're going to walk around. That could be a little leery. That may be a little difficult because it's really nice to be able to take out Google Maps and be able to figure out where you are. Now, granted, people 20 years ago didn't do that, and they still figured it all out. You can as well. You just pre-plan, have an idea of like, okay, we're going from point A to point B, and don't forget, you can always download in Google Maps as an example on your phone. Even without a cellular connection, Google Maps still works if you download the map data before you get there, so you can then see where you're going. Of course, you can't pull up, you can't do a search like, hey, where's the nearest restaurant? Um, so from that aspect, that could be a little more challenging. If you're doing a tour, if you're like, well, I already booked a an excursion that's going to do something, then I would say that's pretty unimpactful by not having data because you're going to be you're being escorted throughout the whole process. Um, the other thing to consider is that in a lot of cases there are free Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi that is free as long as you pay for something. Cafes, bars, restaurants. So if it ever really gets like, man, I am like turned around, I have no idea where I'm going. You could always find a bar or a restaurant that has Wi-Fi. Go there, connect to it, and be able to use it, and then go from there. So it can be a little challenging. It kind of depends on what your plans are more than anything. Hey Matt, can you explain Diamond Plus BOGO, especially dining works? Can I use it as a solo cruiser? You can. It would basically be you pay for one restaurant, then you eat the other one. Essentially, for being Diamond Plus, you get a BOGO deal. It's only available technically on the first 2 nights of the cruise, although you can ask to use it on a different night. But it's basically you have to wait to get on board the ship, go to a restaurant, especially a restaurant, say, hey, I'm a Diamond Plus member. Can I use my BOGO here? As long as it's a covered charge restaurant, the answer is yes. So you can go to Chops or Giovanni's or Jamie's or Hooked, use your BOGO, and you tell them that. As a solo cruiser, what you could do is say, hey, I want to eat at Chops on day one, and then use my BOGO for another restaurant, Jamie's on the night two. Just coordinate with them once you're there. Good evening, Matt. I'm Diamond Plus 340, and I was wondering what benefits I would get on Celebrity since you sail with them 52 days till Anthem. You'll get Celebrity, you'll get elite status in Captain's Club, Dave. That sounds awesome because it's the second highest tier, I should say, in Crown and Anchor. But I got to tell you, Dave, it's fairly useless. I'll have more on this in my video review that I'm putting out about Celebrity. But that was one disappointment. I did a status match, but the benefits were not great. Compared to Royal Caribbean, it is a night and day difference, how lucrative they are. So unfortunately, I was very disappointed from that perspective. But it's worth doing anyway, because hey, if you get like one perk out of it, that's one more perk that you would have otherwise had. But it's not as nearly as good or as like if you went from like celebrity to diamond and crown and anchor. That'd be a huge deal. You get a lot more out of it. Question: have you ever tried Taste of Royal Lunch? Is it worth trying? Yes, and yes, if you're not a picky eater. The menu is a fixed menu, so it's not like, as an example, there was a lot of shellfish on there. Now, I didn't know that when I got there. Luckily, they took pity on me and subbed it out. But as long as you're not a picky eater, it's a great opportunity to have a lot of different foods to try. And in many cases, Brittany, you may be on a ship that doesn't actually have those restaurants, but you still get the food from those restaurants. Really cool. So I'd say, yeah, it's absolutely worthwhile as long as you're not a picky eater. How do you drink for free in the casino? You have to reach Prime in Casino Royale, which means you need to accrue within a year cumulatively 2,500 points. How much is a point? Well, it depends. If you play table games or slots, there is not an exact science to it, but it's roughly in a slot machine, roughly you get 1 point for about every $3 you wager on a slot machine, but it's not quite there. And of course, it's only money you wager, not money you win. And there's a lot of other factors involved. Anyway, you need to accrue 2,500 points, and that's in a calendar year. So you don't have to do it in one cruise. If you take 3 cruises in the year between April 1st and March 31st, those all qualify together. That makes sense. Thank you all so much for your generosity and your time. Thank you for being here, and we'll be back again next Monday right here on YouTube. Good night, everybody.